Okay, back to school budgeting on the balanced life. Yes, today we are going to be talking about back to school budgeting with supplies. I'm going to have a couple of things talking about back to school, whether you're a homeschooler or you have a child who attends school in a building. I've got something for everyone, but today it's specifically talking about supplies. And while this can apply to a homeschooler, it primarily applies to people who attend in a school building. Um, so we get lists from school. Okay, so my kids have gone to public school, private school, and homeschooling. Um, and so I'm familiar with all three. I also worked in a private school and worked in a public school. So, and I homeschooled. So I'm familiar with all these different things. We get lists from the school that are fairly consistent each year. So one way to help bring down prices on supplies is watch for sales throughout the year. To do that, I suggest you keep those supply lists that you get in the fall. And remember, in another video, I talked about how I had 3-ring binders for the family members. Do a 3-hole punch for each member of the family because different grades, different schools require different supplies. And so put it into their folder. And so when your oldest finds out in the 10th grade that they have to have a specific kind of calculator, you'll then know for the younger one, and you can be prepared, assuming they take the same kind of classes. You can find out, okay, first and second kid both needed this in the 5th grade. Third kid's probably going to need it as well. So you can watch during the school year when things go on sale and have a specific place where you store those supplies and get them throughout the year. So that's number one. Watch for sales. Keep the lists in the 3-ring binder so you know what you're going to need. 2, cheap does not mean a deal. This was a really hard lesson for me to learn because, it's good enough, especially when it comes to clothes, because kids outgrow clothes so fast and things like that. However, in our particular case, there were 2 things that happened that were very telling, and I hope that this story will encourage you to not just look at the price tag, but look at what the cost that. If you have a backpack that's going to be trashed in 4 months, you're not saving any money by buying 2 of them at $20 each versus buying 1 at $50. That can last multiple years. The first thing we had is my one of my middle daughters. When she was like 4, 5, 6, my stepmom bought her a skirt from, I think it's called the Children's Place, and it was a really expensive skirt. It was a blouse. Well, it wasn't a blouse. It was a cotton shirt and a skirt. And my daughter wore that skirt for years. And that skirt, she wore it 3, 4 times a week for years because her waistline stayed pretty, it had the little buttons inside so we could adjust, but her waistline stayed about the same. Her legs just were getting longer. And the only reason we had to get rid of it was a really long skirt when she first got it. It was like ankle length, and then it went up, T length. But she was outside riding her bike in the summer with the skirt on, and the hem of the skirt got caught in her bike chain and it ripped around. And I'm no seamstress, and the dress was old, but she probably had that dress like 3, 4, 5 years. And it lasted longer than about any of her clothes. It held its color, it held its shape, it stayed in, it was great. The second thing was, this is being recorded in July of 2022. And in January of 2017, so almost exactly 5.5 years ago, I started working in a public school with a student where I had to carry things around with me all the time, and I followed this student to classes. And my husband bought me a backpack similar to the one that my daughters had, that he had gotten them a year or 2 prior. And he said they're really high quality. It was actually LL Bean was the brand. But I got this backpack. I used it for the 4.5 years I worked with this student. I've used it every time I've gone on an airplane. So in the last 6 months, I got a different purse that I've been using more often. But prior to that, every time I got in an airplane, so when I traveled to France and back in 2016, I used it. No, I didn't use that because I got it in 2017. But I used it when I was traveling back and forth to visit family. I used it whenever I would go places. Bottom line, I use this thing all the stinking time, year round, constantly. It looks almost brand new. it looks like I just need to kind of like wipe it off a little bit. So do you think I got my money's worth out of that backpack? And I want to say it was like $60. Our kids also, I'm pretty sure they still have theirs and are still using them. I am 99% positive that the backpack that my youngest has, she's had 8 years now. And that's like, I mean, she uses it like basically like a purse. And so it goes everywhere with her. It's in great shape, no holes, no whatever. So I've gotten my money's worth out of those two things is my point. So spending a little bit more saves you money over the long run. We have a mentality here in the US, buy cheap, throw away quickly. That's not the best thing to do during these times. It's better to buy quality, especially if you can get quality on sale, and keep things for multiple years. Number 3, make your kids responsible for wasted supplies. Make them respect the money that you've spent on things. There's a few ways you can do that. You can buy a set amount and tell them anything beyond that, they're going to have to buy with their own money in terms of like paper, pencil, glue, scissors, those kind of things. Because if they get lost, somebody's responsible for it. And why should it have to be you? You know, natural consequences. Consider how they're being used, how are you monitoring them, those kind of things. There's nothing wrong with teaching kids responsibility about how to be a good steward of what they've been given. And along those lines, teach generosity. So when you're out buying school supplies, think about who could you help? Who could you donate something to? Do you know somebody who's a little bit tight on cash or has a whole bunch of kids or who has a long commute to work right now for whom $10, $15 off their school supplies bill could be a blessing? There's a number of charities as well, but maybe people in your own backyard could be blessed by something, or family members or somebody that you know directly through a group or organization. So teach generosity. Ask your kids, who could we get something for? Who would you like to bless? It's very easy now since you can see what the school supplies are. If you know what school they go to, just grab the sheet and go ahead and get their school supplies. Number 5, give your kids a set amount, even if they're in elementary school, for buying their school supplies. I talked about this on another video in pretty big detail, but essentially having a budget, and then each month you can have a smaller sub-budget to buy things as you go, and anything that goes beyond that is your child's responsibility. They will become very good about not wasting paper and glue and things like that. That makes them empowered, not entitled. So also, of course, there are things like tax-free holidays. A number of states are doing that where they announce a certain weekend where you do not have to pay sales tax on particular items, which help with the back-to-school savings. Gift cards and rebates. I will be talking about that on a video. I think it's tomorrow's video. Yeah, my trick on how I save a lot of money. I'll be talking about that tomorrow, so make sure that you've hit the bell so that you're notified when that comes out. How I save anywhere from like 3-4% up to sometimes 20% or more on most of the things I buy, the little trick that I put together. It's kind of like stacking rebates. And I would like you to share some of your back to school money saving strategies or tips to on how to buy things, where to buy things in the comments below, and help the other people that we know that are on this channel learn, whether this year or in years to come. I hope you got something out of this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.